Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sejahtera and good afternoons and good afternoon evening. Sorry. Okay. We continue for our class in business research methods. So regarding this week, I'm trying to share with you regarding on the limitations, how to write limitation in your thesis. Okay, so we have done covers on research backgrounds, problem statement, objective research questions, definition of operations, significance of the study or the significance of research. So now we try to cover on the limitation and delimitations. So this is actually very important on your chapter 1 introductions to clear and understand regarding on limitation and delimitation. Okay, based on this, I come up with the template. This is your part of your assignments to complete regarding these templates. Before to complete this template, you need to clear and understand regarding these templates. So the title is Limitation and Delimitations, based on the theory and methodology, research proposal and thesis. Okay, so you should be right here your research title. Okay, here is STM. STM meaning that scope, theoretical and methodological. Okay, we have scope, theoretical and methodological. Okay, regarding this also, we need another one. I put here is chapters. So we actually, in order to come up the limitation on your studies, we actually relate on your chapter 2 and chapter 3. But in this part is chapter 1, you need to clear regarding on the theory and methodology. That's why theory is in chapter 2 and the research methodology in chapter 3. Okay, regarding this one, topic can be modified according to the field of knowledge, suitability and needs in the research process. Okay, next column is limitations. So you need to put here the idea or points regarding on limitation. What is limitations? In research, best solution is important where the action in decision making will face a number of options and situations. Therefore, one or more concept, technique or method are chosen because of their suitability, practicality for answer your research objective or research question or hypothesis. And then indirectly will be answer your problem statement also. Okay, that's why your limitation should be brief and clear limitation description. Okay, in research, okay, we cannot do anything. Sorry, we cannot do many things. So that's why we have the limitations. So limitation in what? So limitation on the research scope. Sorry, in the theory. So that's why in research sometimes you just use single theory or a few, several theory. That's we call that limitation because we cannot use many theory. So that's why we have limitation. All theory, model, okay. Why your conceptual framework still limited? Your use only a few or single principle, basic fundamental philosophy. So that's why you need to highlight regarding on your research, you have limitation on theory or concepts. Okay, another one is literature review. Why you need to study in this topic? Because of limitation on literature review. Some of you do the literature review not based on the technique. We know that a few techniques like SLR and meta-analysis. Some study not use SLR and meta-analysis. You use non-technique. Okay, regarding on discuss on concept, review and general. Okay, the previous one, because your topic is quite new, we don't have specific literature review on the past study. That's why your limitations to get some of the article or some of the research paper regarding this matter on your topics. Okay, what another limitations? Another limitation you can summarize on your research methodology. Because this is just very specific Okay, you want to make a research unique. That's why sometimes we need to cover, sometimes actually research methodology is quite broad. So that's why you need to specify or specifics what type of your research designs. So we have many of type of research design. The chosen of research design, but you cannot choose many research design. So you have limitations regarding on your philosophy also, and positivism or subjectivisms. Your approach, inductive, deductive, and deductive. Research choice, that's why you choose a mono method, multi-method, of the mixed methods. So research strategy, you cannot do many things. Sometimes you just use a survey. So we have many type of research strategy, such as survey, experiment, grounded theory, phenomenologies, actual research, case study, narrative inquiries. So we have many type of the research strategy, but in your research, we have limitations. Regarding validity and reliability also, we have certain things that you need to highlight what type of your limitation. Research time horizon, regarding cross-sectional or time longitudinals. Okay, technique and procedures, what type of your data collection, regarding on sampling techniques, regarding on the assumption and on the procedure also, regarding on your sampling, size and technique of samplings, unit analysis and location also. This is a part of the reason why. For example, another example for locations, because your study just your location only based on Perak. Why you choose Perak? Why don't you cover in one Malaysia, or you want to cover in northern area of Malaysia? Why you choose in Malaysia? So that's why everything regarding on the theory, literature review, and research methodology, you can mention, because your research still have limitation. What type of limitation you need to highlight in your chapter 1 thesis. That's why this template assists you in order to make sure what types actually your limitation in your research. Maybe theoretically, on theory or concept or literature review, or methodologically. Okay. Then in research analysis also, in methodological, not only on research methodology, but also in research analysis. You need to start to think, and you need to design your research. Actually, in one research, it's possible you have limitations. So maybe limitation on theory, literature review, research methodology, and another one is your research analysis. So regarding our software, analysis technique, analysis integrations, sometimes research is actually multi-using, so and your interpretation also. Okay, in this side also you can use also. Okay, I need to highlight this one also. Okay, regarding on delimitations, yes, you can come up anything related on your research limitation, but you need to answer your delimitation or justification. For example, you mentioned your research study only use resource-based view, RBV. Why resource-based view? You need put here the reason. That's why this put is justifications. Whatever you mention that your research have limitation, you need to prove that on the justification. Why you mention you use only one theory? So need to give the justification. For example, your literature review, you highlight that very difficult to find that previous study used that approach or that topic. Why? This is your justification. So that's why in on your limitation, we have many type of the uh, aspects. You need to clearly to make sure that this part of limitation is theory, literature review, research methodology, and analysis. So in delimitation justification is meaning that each or every theory, concept, design, method, strategy, or technique that will be chosen should be explained by justifying why the choice and decision was taken. Delimitation need to be relevant, more practical and convincing with the support of the source, or we call that citations. Again, same actually in on your justification and delimitation regarding this template, you need to brief and clear delimitation descriptions. Okay, so this template will guide you, assist you in order to make sure what type of limitation, and every limitation you need to give the justification. So that's why I give you this template and then you need to clear and understand. Everyone need do this template, then you know that you can understand or not. So after that, you can copy paste in your research progress. So that's why the what we call that, the transfer is not just only copy paste a table, but you can get the idea and write use in paragraph. Okay, you use go paragraph by paragraph. Okay, this is a number one. Okay, this tonight, so I need to cover regarding this number one, this template limitation of research. This is an outline in your chapter one. Okay, now we go to the slide. Okay, now I want to share you with regarding on the slide on the topic of limitation. So we go to some of the examples regarding on limitations. Okay, so today we just clear understand regarding on the scope and limitation. So this is some examples, previous research, okay, thesis actually, and this one from Durham University. An empirical examination into the social reportings practice of Islamic Bank in Malaysia and Bahrain. Okay, the most important thing why I share this slide, we need to clearly and understand how to write in limitations. Okay, in this study, the title use research scope and approach. Okay, this because we are actually different university. We are in UPSI, but this is Durham University. The use words is scope and approach. Okay, we can see that how they are write in these sections. The thesis take the objective approach. That they highlight the objective. Actually, objective approach is for quantitative. Okay, if you use a subjective approach, meaning that this is a qualitative research. Okay, the thesis takes the objective approach, that they highlight that this research is quantitative. Take the objective approach of philosophical assumption while adopting realist position. Okay, this is another one of the quantitative because you use a word realist, meaning that realism. So realism is for the quantitative research. Position in ontology. Okay, this part you need to understand also regarding on the ontology, epistemology, and ozology. It's okay. In the part in this topic we cover in the chapter 3. Furthermore, it's assumed that positivism position in epistemology and determinant concept assumption and human nature. Okay, the thesis, this thesis I meaning that investigate Malaysia and Bahrain as the target sample due to their rich, strong characteristic, operation and development history, the Islamic banking industry. Okay, this we call that justification, delimitation. They are very highlight in this research scope only cover in Malaysia and Bahrain. And then they give the reason. Investigate Malaysia and Bahrain as the target sample due to the rich and strong characteristic in operation and development history in the Islamic banking industry. That the justify they give. Okay, the thesis employ 3 stage content analysis regarding on the volume measurement, ordinary level of score, and to explore the SEGE SAGE disclosure in the 2 countries that represent the 2 model. Actually, they cover 2 countries and represent a 2 model of Islamic banking through the lens or legitimacy, stakeholders, and signaling theory with a hint of social norm theory and Islamic accountabilities. Okay, this some of the word is actually research scope. They try to highlight that in this research we actually cover both countries. Sorry, 2 countries, Malaysia and Bahrain. Then they give the justification or delimitation why they choose in Malaysia and Bahrain. This paragraph try to highlight regarding on the research and approach. Okay, we go to example number 2. Okay, this research regarding on Uzair from University of Huddersfield Repository. Okay, the topic is regarding a business continuity management framework for disaster resilient SMEs in Malaysia. Okay. Okay, this how they write on research target. Okay. Before this, the use is research scope and approach. But this one, they use a research target and scope. Is it okay? Because we need to learn regarding on how to write in thesis in the worldwide. We know that you are from UPSI. We need to follow our outline in UPSI. But in order to write in paragraph, you need to learn from many of theses. It's not just only in Malaysia, but you can understand and you need to refer any countries or any topics related in your field regarding on business. Okay, we need to learn from thesis by thesis. Okay, and this one regarding these titles, this research focus on BCM of SME in Malaysia. Okay, they put the first line, they mentioned about Malaysia. That's why the research code is Malaysia. Sorry. Malaysia is chosen because they give the reason. Malaysia is chosen because currently there are no BCM framework to deal with disaster at the national level. Okay, specifically designed for SME. Okay, they give the reason, they choose a Malaysia as their study, and then they give the justification why they choose a Malaysia. Okay, the BCM framework in Malaysia are currently applied a large and multinational company and most focus on information technology and computer issues. Therefore, this research will focus on exploring the impact of natural hazard SME and identifying the perception of SME on existing DDR program. Okay, in this part, this try to highlight in the currently on the in the pastly on the research previously, they highlight a few research or many research only cover on the what we call the big company or multinational company or large company, but in SME still limited. This is we call that research gap. Why they choose a SME? Because not many research cover on SMEs. Okay, they will then concentrate on involvement of various stakeholders in order to explore how they can participate in developing comprehensive framework or guideline for DRR. The target stakeholders for this research, okay, that's the mention of the stakeholders, include government as policymaker, the private sector and non-government NGO. Okay, meanwhile, the SME investigate meet criteria state definition by a Malaysia SME Corporation. Okay, this part they are trying to highlight because we have many definition of SMEs. Okay, we need to know that what is specifically SMEs, because in order to calculate the numbers of sample, we need to know the definition of SMEs. So in this research, they choose definition by SME corporations. So that's how this research try to clearly regarding on the research target and scope. Okay, okay, we go to the another example. This is my thesis doing that 2012 regarding my first PhD. Okay, how I write this part. So my words is sorry, the title is scope and assumptions. Okay, you can write like this. In pursuit of meeting all of the objective, the scope of this project is crucial. The scope of the research focus the following three areas. So I put that this is actually the aim, the area that I'm trying to study. This research focus on the variable actually, strategic relationship between Lean Six Sigma, strategic control system, and organizational performance. So LSS, SCS, and OP is actually our research variables. Two measures for the automotive industry in Malaysia. Second one, I'm trying to mention our research scope is regarding on population and samples. Of survey respondent case study are only, so my research regarding on survey and case study only targeted to automotive industry operate in Malaysia. So my case is actually from automotive industry in Malaysia. Okay. Thirdly, the LSPI, meaning that my study regarding LSPI tool will be developed based on the analytical hierarchy process method and system based on Excel. Okay. So that's why I'm trying to highlight in my thesis, for example, in this case, that I have three areas that this is my research scope and assumption. Okay. We go another thing. Sorry, this is the second part. Say continue of this. At the same time, there are certain assumptions because the word is scope and assumption. So why I'm highlight these three scope? Because of respondent in this study have brought expertise in lean operations, strategic management, and answer all the questions in questionnaire and during interviews. Number 2, respondent consisting of panel of experts and managers with honestly and the best of knowledge and experience answer to all the questions given. The tools which are endorsed and recommended by automotive experts as decision-making tools in effective and systematic evaluation of supplier are reliable. Okay, in this case, I try to show the 3 examples of thesis. Actually, the basic one is regarding our template. So that's why I'm highlight that in order to highlight the scope and limitation, you need to know that regarding on theory or concept, regarding on your methodology, before that, literature review, regarding on methodology and research analysis, because you need to highlight in your research scope regarding this part, okay? Regarding theoretically and methodologically. In theoretical, theory or model, and second one is literature review. From the methodologically aspects, you need to know regarding on research methodology and also your research analysis. And that's why I try to show you example, then you can get the idea how to write in your limitation in your research proposal. Okay, this is another example, number 4. Okay, from Tengku Henaliza, Tengku Azaman, actually, I try to show you that actually this is our local researcher. We're actually from Malaysia researcher, Malaysia student, Malaysia PhD student, but they are studying in the overseas. Okay, this is another one example from Tengku Henaliza. Their topic is the representative English language in the Malaysia education blueprint. We know that this is a topic from the education, but the most important thing, we try to learn how to write in your limitation of your studies. Okay, this is another. The word is limitation of the research. Okay, the limitation of the research. Okay, number 1, the like any other research, mine has its limitation. They try to highlight that mostly every research should be have limitation. I do not claim that the interview I conduct a representative sample of teacher experience and reality of implementing initiative and policy. Okay, that they highlight, the first sentence. My research is also stating that outcome is the sole representative how MOE perceive the English language. That the part they try to highlight. As such, for the study comparing the teacher actual experience and policy implementation can be conducted to find out the success or failure of the implementation of the policy by carrying out more in-depth and extensive research. And that they try to highlight regarding automatically, they try to highlight this paragraph, they try to mention their scope and limitations. Yeah, I go to the number 5. Okay, this Nur Farhana binti Ramli, actually from the local PhD. Okay, the topic is development and validation of instrument to measure science teacher instructional preparedness in STEM implementation. Okay, we can see that how they write the scope of the study. This study focus on developing an instrument to measure teacher instructional preparedness in STEM implementation. Straightforward. They highlight this. This is their main objective also. And then it become another. This is their scope of study. It goes through the 2 phase, development and validation phase. They have 2 phase. 4 type validations. They use 4 type validation, namely phase content, construct, concurrent validity, were conduct to verify the newly developed instrument. They try to specifically, meaning that they try narrow of the scope. In addition to prove validity, this study was also conducted to identify the level of teacher preparedness STEM implementation, as well as to detect any difference in urban and rural teachers' instructional preparedness. Okay. How they write regarding on their scope. Okay, that's why they highlight regarding on the theory and methodology aspect also. Okay, and then they continue. This study is limited. Okay, this study is limited to government secondary school science teacher. The science teacher is defined as teacher who teach subject their science, chemistry, biology, and physics. In addition, the respondent involved this study are science teacher in Peninsular only, due geography, time, and cost constraints. That they try to give the justification on that the research limitation. Every research, if you highlight that this is your limitation, you need to give delimitation or justification. Okay, there's another example number 6. Okay, this one from Malay. So in bahasa actually they have some paragraph. Okay, yang from Malay you can read this slide because it's actually right in bahasa Melayu. So that's why from Azizi Jafar regarding the topik penilaian pelaksanaan kurikulum pendidikan Islam sekolah menengah berdasarkan model CIPP. Okay, you can read this one. You boleh baca lah perenggan ini untuk contoh nombor 6 ni. Okay, this is number 7. The topic is Goldina acceptance in a modern monetary system, empirical evidence in the context Goldina community in Malaysia. Okay, we can see how they are right in these topics. Scope and limitation. This exactly UPSI style. Because in UPSI, we use the words of scope and limitation. Okay, this is another good example that actually match with the UPSI outline. Okay, how they are right in this paragraph? They start in the context of the research. Okay, they start the word in the context of the research. The acceptance of Goldina is looked through the perspective of Goldina usage as complements to official currency regardless of mechanism of implementation. Okay, then the implementation of Goldina can take the form of gold-backed currency, physical gold, or electronic Goldina. Despite that, this research is opinion that small-scale implementation-based hybrid of physical and electronic form of Goldina is easier. Kita sambung, second paragraph. While this dissertation, meaning that this thesis, provide novel contribution to the body of the knowledge in Goldina literature that I'm highlight. And from the template, I mentioned that if in order to know the aspect of limitation is about theory or model, then the number 1 is literature review. That said, this I highlight the literature. It has several limitations that need to identifications. Acknowledging this research as an early attempt to develop GDAM. Therefore, any shortfall and limitation in this research need to be resolved by future research. Try to highlight that sometimes as the research we not cover many things in many ways. Sometimes our research cannot do and can resolve by future or the next researcher. This section discuss the limitation in terms of instrument developments, generalizations, sampling bias, and other potential variables relevant for study. Okay, we can learn on these 2 paragraphs because in UPSI we use term of scope and limitation. But from the another example, 6 example before, you can use also in order to write regarding the choose of word, the choose of the center regarding to write line by line or paragraph, or we call that sentence by sentence. Okay, they continue the 3rd paragraph. The first limitation, go to the one by one. The first limitation of this research is due to development of instruments. Okay, although rigorous effort has been made establish good measurement instrument for Goldina accepted, yet that they try to give the justification. Yet there are still plenty of room enhance the measurement by retest using different sample. Okay, they give the justification why in this study the need to develop the instrument. In addition, since scale for trust and self-efficacy have lower R-squared, this scale need to be relooked and test further. Okay, this is the limitation from the study. Since large amount of parameters are being estimated in this research, therefore the greater sample size is required to test the model. This research, although have sufficient number of sample analysis, but is not large enough to detect. So they try to highlight, for example, in this study, use the sample, the numbers of the sample is enough, but they suggest for the next researcher need to double up the numbers to make it the quantity of sample much bigger. Okay. Since sample generated through the online Goldina community, the result of the research is limited to be generalized in different contexts such as offline Goldina community. as well as general population. Some measure has been employed to ensure generalizability by employing probability sampling and bootstrapping technique for their data analysis. So bootstrapping technique validate measured model by drawing a large number of sub-sample. So they are also suggest regarding on to get the much sample, because this study only limited use that the online version of the Goldina community. So they suggest for the next study to make it the very high numbers. Okay. Okay. The third one, the third limitation in the sampling bias, they highlight regarding methodology now. They mention about that again regarding on the sampling bias. To application of internet survey, the inference to a population is limited since those without internet access. So they give the reason, unable to participate in the survey. So they have some justification. They give the some citation to support their argument. This will result in coverage area. Okay, as July 2013, based their research, the total Facebook user in Malaysia were 30.3 millions. Okay, this amount of 25.5% of the total population. However, some group highly linked to the internet while some does not, making possibility to of coverage bias. According to socialbake.com, from 30.3 million engaged to Facebook, the highest those the age between 80 and 24 contribute 34.5%, follow those age 25, 34, 13, 17s. Okay, this try to highlight that regarding you want to use the online platform regarding the age issue, you need to know that. For example, in Malaysia, we have Facebook, Instagram. So you need to know that which one is much better, Facebook or Instagram. So this is another I try to interpret. Okay. All right. Then Blasius suggests that weights of variable to make them representative with respect to social demographic characteristic, such as, so regarding on the research, you need to be considered on the demographic issues or characteristics such as age, sex, and education. Nevertheless, looking at the current availability in internet access and rapid growth internet users, the coverage area will be manageable. Through the demographic profile of the respondents show the diverse social demographic characteristic, and then they try to show another crucial part regarding on the sampling bias. Okay, finally, number 4, or finally, demographic variable may also play the roles in the JDM, such as gender, education, employment, income, experience using the Goldina and Goldina ownership. They are not only include the analysis of the research, so they suggest future research should include this demographic variable as mediator or moderator. Okay. Okay, that's why I want to show that many types. For example, then you very clearly regarding on the template. Why I write a template like that? Okay. This is a number 8. So from the Noor Tutiani, so this one they developed the module. So the full title is Development of Problem Post Multimedia Module. Is effective to enhance student performance in Form 4 biology. So we can, so let's see their limitations. They are put here is limitation of study. The sample of the study involves students from 2 equivalent Delhi school in Petaling Perdana districts. The study involved Form 4 students who were enrolled in biology subject. So in their first line, they try to highlight their specifics or the scope of research only cover in Petaling Perdana. And then Form 4 student actually from the taken of the biology subjects. Focus on this is focus of this study is more on the student performance that act as dependent variable of the study, and the variable is based on test score gained during the pre-test, post-test, and retention test that was admin to the student from both school. Further, the conceptual change that occurred among students was explored based on the basic and specific concepts, osmosis and diffusion, we are the predetermined according to the curriculum. Okay, they try to give the reason why you choose this sample, and then in order to using that for the method and analysis purpose. Okay, the topic covered in this study is the movement substance across the plasma membranes. This topic has been chosen. Okay, the justification. The topic has been chosen because it contains fundamental concept of osmosis and diffusion that need to be applied later other topic across the curriculum in biology. Okay, based on study needs, they mentioned about theory. You remember that I mentioned that another aspect on limitation is theory. So they highlight here, based on this study needs, the cognitive theory of multimedia learning by Meyer and Moreno was employed, it was integrated with the problem posed instructional theory. The type of problem posed activity employed in this study only focus on semi-structured and structured problem posed because the student involved in study is considered as novice student. Okay, in this paragraph, highlight actually what actually their scope, what their actually limitation, that they give the reason. We call that justification. Okay. Okay, all right. So this is part of the structure organizations. Some of the university use this thesis plan, but for UPSI we not occupy this. And regarding on the thesis outline, some of the universities I studied in UTM before this, we have the thesis outline, but in UPSI we don't use the thesis outline. But this one I just to share with you, so you get the sum of the idea. In chapter 1 we also have the outline regarding on the thesis plan, such as this one. For this one also, like the outline of the thesis. For this study also we call that thesis structure. So this one they have the sum of the flow regarding the highlight all the content of your thesis. But in UPSI we not apply this one. So based on our UPSI outline, we don't have the thesis outline. But in this slide, I just to give another example. Okay, just enough. Okay, it is very important. We need to clear small things. For today, we just only cover limitation. But for me, limitation is most important. So that's why I try to give energetic to try to make sure you clearly and understand how to write in limitation. Okay, so that's why I hope so. I already give this slide, and then I already give you the last week regarding this template. That's why I need you to make it familiar this regarding on the template. So that's why I share again this regarding the template to make easy. You are much clear how to fulfill this template in order not just only for this class for assignment, but this is for your research also, for your proposal also, that you know that how to write in limitation in your thesis. Okay. Okay, I open for question. If you have any questions regarding on topic of limitations, okay, please you can ask in in the chat rooms, or you can ask directly. So I open. So today we just only cover on limitations, scope and limitation. If you have any question, please ask. Any questions? Yeah. So I just to make it short. Okay. So my aim actually try to make sure that everyone will be clear what we call that limitation or scope and limitation. So if you have any question, please ask. Okay. 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 If you don't have any questions, okay, we can stop this our discussion and then for our class, because I aim today just only to cover on the limitation. If you still have questions regarding this matter, how to write limitation, you can still ask in the group WhatsApp. Okay. If you don't have any question, I think I need to stop this class. Then we continue in the group WhatsApp. If you have anything that you don't clear regarding, so this actually we still in chapter 1. So if you have any question on chapter 1, you still can ask. It's not just only from the live sections, you can also in our WhatsApp group. Okay, I think that because no questions, no feedback from you, so I think we just stop here, then we continue in WhatsApp group. Thank you very much everyone. Assalamualaikum and selamat malam.